is a proposed cantilever beam built into a concrete wall and free at its end. Okay, one end is built into the concrete wall and the other end is free. It supports a dead load of 20 kN per meter and a live load of 10 kN per meter. The length of the beam is total 5 meters. Now we have to select an available section with necessary check. Means the suitable section, I mean to say, with necessary checks. And the bearing width into the concrete wall, where it has been inserted into the concrete wall, that bearing width is 100 mm, because this is required when we try to calculate the check for web buckling and check for web bearing. So that time it will be required. So the loads are given in terms of dead load and live load. So you have to superimpose both of them, and we'll assume that whatever loads will be given, all are service loads. That is the unfactored loads. So we have to go with the factored loads. So for that, I have to multiply all of them by 1.5. So dead load is 1.5 times 20, 30 kilonewton per meter. Live load 1.5 times 10, 15 kilonewton per meter. When I add them, the total load on the cantilever beam is 45 kilonewton per meters. 45 kilonewton per meter is the total load which is acting on the cantilever beam. We can easily calculate then the maximum bending moment, which will be obviously occurring at the fixed end. It will be WL square by 2, that is 45 into 5 square by 2, because this is a formula wherein when the cantilever beam is fixed at one end and free at the other end, and if it is uniformly, if it is loaded with the uniformly distributed load throughout, so that time you can use this formula of WL square by 2. So that comes out to be 45 into 5 square by 2. The maximum bending moment which is coming on the beam is 562.5 kilonewton meter, and maximum shear force, of course, it will be the total load, that is W into L. So 45 into 5, which is coming out to be 225 kilonewton. So when there is a cantilever beam, so this section will change, wherein you have to apply the appropriate formula to calculate the maximum bending moment and the shear force. Okay, now let us start. I want to choose an initial section. Now here you can see when I was using a simply supported beam, I used to assume a slenderness ratio of 100, that is lambda equal to 100, and h by tf was equal to 25. Now in this case, I'm going to assume lambda equal to 80 and h by tf equal to 20 because it is a cantilever beam. So remember, when you are designing a simply supported beams, you have to go for lambda equal to 100 and h by tf equal to 25 for initial assumption. And when it is a cantilever beam, you can come with the lesser values of slenderness ratio to 80 and h by tf equal to 20, not 25. Okay, so then from table 14 of IS 800 2007, for these two values, let me just check how much it is coming. So it is coming out to be 455.2 Newton per mm square. Okay, the FCRB, that is from table 14 of IS 800 2007, FCRB is coming out to be 455.2. Now with this, I can easily calculate lambda LT, which is equal to Fy 250, because we are using steel of yield strength 250 and FCRB as 455.2. I am getting lambda LT as 0.741. Right? Then I can easily calculate phi LT, which is given as by this formula, and alpha LT will be equal to 0.21 because it is a rolled section. So phi LT is 0.5 times into 1 plus alpha LT is 0.21. Lambda LT we have already calculated 0.741 minus zero point 0.2 plus 0.741 square. So from this, I'm getting phi LT as 0.831. Okay. Then I need to calculate xi LT, that is the reduction factor, which is given by this formula. So phi LT is 0.831 plus 0.831 square minus lambda LT square, that is 0.741 square. and this raised to 0.5, and that should be less than or equal to 1. So I'm getting xi LT as 0.828. Then I can calculate FBD, which is given as xi LT times Fy divided by gamma m naught, that is 0.828 multiplied by 250 divided by the partial safety factor of 1.1. So I'm getting FBD as 188.27 Newton per mm square. Okay, so from this I can easily get the plastic section modulus required, which is equal to maximum bending moment, that is MD divided by FBD, because we know there is a formula to calculate the design moment capacity, that is MD equal to beta B ZP into FBD. MD I'm taking it as maximum bending moment itself, and I can easily calculate the ZP required. So maximum bending moment is 562.5 kilonewton meter. 562.5 kilonewton meter. So I want to convert that into Newton millimeters. So I will convert that multiplied by 10 raised to 6 divided by ZP will be always 1, because I will assume that my section will be a plastic section. This multiplied by FBD, which is 188.27. From this, I can get the section modulus required to be 2987.6. Into 10 raised to 3. Okay, 2987.6 into 10 raised to 3 cube will be my plastic section modulus, which is required. Now, when I go for steel tables or the six, I will be able to find out a section which is ISWB 600 at the rate 1.337 kilonewton per meter. That is the weight. So ISWB 600 I am choosing because its section modulus is more than the required. You can see here its section modulus is 3986.6 and the required is 2987. So obviously this is more than this one. So I can go for ISWB 600. So I noted down all the properties of ISWB 600. Now let us do a section classification. But before going for section classification, okay, I want to just tell you one thing here. If you see, the thickness of flange is 21.3 millimeters. But there is a table in IS 800-2007 which tells you, that is table 1 of IS 800-2007, which tells you what yield stress Fy value you have to take for a particular thickness of flange. You can see here. See here. Right. So when your thickness of flange for a E250 grade, because we will be always using a E250 grade steel, that is E250 grade steel, right? Just highlight that. We are always using E250 grade steel. And if you see that, if it is less than 20, that is the D or T. D or T, it means the thickness of flange. If the thickness of flange is less than 20, then you have to go for Fy equal to 250 itself. If it is in between 20 and 40, actually you have to go for the yield stress as 240. And if it is more than 40, then you have to go for yield stress of 230. So for our section, which is ISWB 600, our thickness of flange is actually 21.3, which lies in this range of 20 to 40. So always you have to go for the 250. That is yield stress equal to 250 Newton per mm square. Are you clear, students?
So
Are you
250 or
clear?
240?
Yes.
250 or 240, sir.
We have to take 240, not 250. 250 you have to take when the thickness of the flange is less than 20. If the thickness of the flange is in between 20 and 40, you have to take 240. But when the thickness of the flange is more than 240, then you have to take 230. So in our case, our ISWB 600 is having a thickness of flange of 21.3, which lies in this range. So we have to take the yield strength as 240 Newton per mm square. Are you clear? Is that clear, students?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So when I do section classification, earlier I used to submit, I used to put epsilon equal to 1 because it was 250 divided by 250. But in this case, it will not be 1. Instead, it will be apart something else. So 250 divided by 240, right? Which is coming out to be, can anybody just tell me what is the value of that 250 divided by 240 under the root? So 250 divided by 240, okay, and under the root. So 1.02, it comes 1.02 and not 1. There will not be a much change, but always it is better to go with the procedures or the rules which are given in the IS 800. So epsilon, I'm not getting 1 in this case. Instead, I'm getting 1.02. So now let us check for the width of B by TF. Okay, so B is actually you have to take 125 because I told you you have to take the outstanding width of the flange, that is 250 divided by 2. That is 250 divided by 2 divided by the thickness of flange. Thickness of flange is 21.3. This comes out to be 5.86, which is obviously less than 8.4 epsilon, where epsilon is 1.02, right? Which will be obviously less than 8.4. Sorry, not 8.4. I'm sorry, it is 9.4. 9.4 epsilon. Then regarding d by tw, I told you how will you calculate d. It is actually the total depth minus 2 times the thickness of flange. That is 600 minus 21.3. So 600 minus 2 times 21.3, which is coming out to be 557.4. Divided by the thickness of the web. The thickness of the web is 11.2. So this divided by 11.2, you'll get 49.76, which will be obviously less than 84 epsilon. OK, 84 epsilon. So from this, I can see that the section is a plastic section. Section is a plastic section. Are you clear, students? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, OK. The procedures are same as usual, what we are doing, only there will be a small change. Right, now we have to calculate the elastic critical moment. The formula for simply supported beam or let it be a cantilever beam, the formula remains same only. Now I have to calculate the KL, that is the effective length of the beam. Now in simply supported beams, we used to calculate KL as the beam length of the beam itself. But in this case, you have to calculate it as 0.8 times L. Now from where this 0.8 times L has come into picture, you have to actually refer the IS 800-2007, where the length of the cantilever beams are given for a particular criteria. So just let in. Yeah, you can see here. You have to actually refer table 16 of IS 800 2007, wherein you will get what length of the beam we have to take. So you can see the cantilever beam comes under the category D, right? So you can see here, if it is free at one end and fixed at the other end, so you have to take it as 0.8 times L. Okay, this is our case, that is this one. So you have to take it as 0.8 times L. And if the second one, that is lateral restraint at the top, if the lateral restraint at the top is given, you have to take it as 0.7 L. And torsional restraint is given, that is this part. If the torsional restraint is given, you have to take it as 0.6 times L. And lateral and torsional, both the restraints are given like this, you have to take it as 0.5 times L. But in our case, it is free at the other end. Okay, one end is already fixed and the other end is free. So I have to take it as 0.8 times L. This is the only change what you will see as compared to the design of simply supported beams and the design of the cantilever beams. You have to take the effective length correctly. Okay, so 0.8 times the length of the beam was 5000. So this comes out to be 0.8 times 5000 comes out to be 4 meters, that is 4000 millimeters. I have referred here table 16 of IS 800 2007. Then G obviously will be 2 E divided by 2 into 1 plus mu. This value will remain same provided your Young's modulus is same. Then regarding IT, that is the torsional constant, that is BITI cube divided by 3. I told you let us first calculate it for the flange. So we have two flanges. We have two flanges, okay, of 250 width. Multiplied by the thickness of the flange is 21.3 cube, that is BITI cube divided by 3, plus I have the depth of web, that is total is 600 minus 21.3, that is center to center distance between the flange multiplied by the thickness of the web is 11.2 cube divided by 3. So this will give me the torsional constant to be 1.88 into 10 raised to 6. Mm raised to 6 Newton per mm square. Sorry, mm raised to 6. Are you clear? Are you clear, students, regarding this torsional constant? Then we'll come to the warping constant, that is 1 minus beta f. I told you beta f will be same, that is 0.5, because we have all the road sections of equal flange width. Am I audible? Am I audible, students?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there was a disconnection. Yeah. Okay, so we calculated all the parameters which are required to be filled in MCR. And if you substitute all of them, I will not do that. If you substitute all of them, you will get the value of MCR to be 1719 kilonewton meter. That is the elastic critical moment 1719. And from this, you can calculate the other parameters. Lambda LT, which is 1, beta B is 1, ZP is 3986.6. Into 10 raised to 3 multiplied by. Now here also you have to use Fy as 240. This whole thing divided by 1719. You will get lambda LT as 0.746. Then you can substitute the value, all the values which are required to calculate the phi LT, provided alpha LT is 0.21. And if you substitute, you'll get the value of phi LT is 0.8356. And when you substitute all the values of phi LT and lambda LT, you will get the value of xi LT as 0.825. And which is obviously less than or equal to 1. Then easily you can calculate the FBD, that is 0.825 multiplied by 240 divided by gamma m naught equal to 1.1, and you will get the value of FBD as 180 Newton per millimeter square. And you can get the value of D as beta B1 and FBD, sorry, ZP equal to 3986.6, which is provided actually 396.6 into 10 raised to 3 multiplied by FPD, which is equal to 180. And you'll get the design moment capacity as 717.6 kilonewton meter. And since it is more than the maximum bending moment, what was our maximum bending moment? It was 562.5 kilonewton meter. Hence, I can say that the beam is okay, that is safe from bending point of view. Then I have to check for the shear capacity, which is given as Fy divided by root 3 gamma m naught h into Tw, where h is the total depth of the section, and Fy is actually 240. 240 divided by root 3 into gamma m naught is 1.1, and h is 600, and thickness of the web is 11.2. From this, I can get the design shear capacity as 881.7. And 60% of that is 60% of 881.7 is 529. And this is more than the maximum shear force, which was 225 kilonewtons. Hence it is okay. Right? Then you have to check for the deflection. That is the maximum deflection occurs at the free end. For a cantilever beam carrying a uniformly distributed load throughout, the formula is WL raised to 4 by 8 EI. W, now you have to take it as 30 kilonewton per meter because the factored load is 45. When you try to calculate the deflection, you always have to take the unfactored loads, that is service loads. So 45 divided by 1.5, which is coming out to be 30 kilonewton per meter. So here you have to use 30, not 45. And L will be obviously 5 meters. You should not take 4 meters now here. right? And 8 EI. So if you substitute all of them, you will get the maximum deflection of almost around 11.03 millimeters. And allowable is actually L by 150, that is 5000 divided by 150. You can get this as 33.33. 33.3. And since this is more than delta max, that is allowable is more than the actual. So it is OK from deflection point of view also. Then you have to come for web buckling. I told you B1, which is actually given in the problem statement itself, which is equal to 100 mm. N1 is actually D by 2, where D is the total depth of the section. So this is 600 divided by 2, which is 300. Then lambda is 2.5 times D over T, where actually D is 600 minus 2 times 21.3. OK. And where actually T is the thickness of the web, which is 11.2. From this, you can get the value of lambda. That is the approximate one, almost around 600. Let me just check. 600 minus 2 into 21.3. 2 into 21.3. This whole thing divided by 11.2. This multiplied by 2.5, which is coming out to be 124.41. And if you refer table 9C of IS 800-2007, you will get the value of FC as almost 91. Approximately 91 Newton per mm square. Then you can substitute all these values in this equation for FWB. That is 100 plus 300 times thickness of web is 11.2 multiplied by FC is 91. And you will get FWB as 407.68. Which is more than 225 kilonewtons. That is the maximum shear force which is coming on the beam. So hence it is safe from web buckling point of view. Then to check for web bearing. So B1 will remain same, that is 100 millimeters itself. N2 will be 2.5 times. The thickness of flange is 21.3 and the root radius is actually root radius is 17. You can get this from the steel table. This is 95.75 millimeters. Yeah, let me write here. 95.75 millimeters. And when you substitute all of them here, that is 100 plus 95.75. Thickness of web is 11.2. And here you have to take a Fy as 240 itself. You will get the bearing strength as 498.27. 498.3 kilonewtons, which is once again more than 225 kilonewtons. OK, hence it is safe from the web bearing point of view also. So this is how you can solve for the cantilever beams. Where you have to be careful is while calculating maximum bending moment and shear force, and you should be careful in calculating the effective length of the beam. So only these are the two changes what you have to do apart as compared to the design of the simply supported beams, right? So I have actually one more numerical example that what I will do, I will not solve that, but I have already done that. Means I will not solve in the class, but I have already done that, and I will substitute all the numerical values in that, and I'll give you the PDF of this. And after that, I want to declare the first assignment of this module, right? So these are the two problems. I will share this PDF also immediately after this class, and you have to submit this before 29th of this May. That is by Saturday you have to submit this. these two numerical examples. You can go through that later. So we'll stop the class here now. Any doubts you have, students, regarding this numerical example on the design of cantilever beam? Any doubts you have? Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay then, right. So let us end this class now. Okay, thank you.